For years, scientists around the globe have tried to understand these strange and complex individuals. They have conducted experiment after experiment, and spent countless hours researching these creatures. Unfortunately, very little progress has been shown. Until recently, when a breakthrough was discovered during a neurological exam of the brain of one of these rabid beasts. So today, using all of this information we have learned, we shall be taking an in-depth look at the origins of these creatures, otherwise known as feminists. Part 1. The origin. First, let us take a look at the origin of the feminist. Scientists have recently discovered that the feminists first evolved from the modern-day sea cow, otherwise known as the manatee. Here you can see the evolutionary diagram of the manatee evolving into the feminist. As you can see, it was a long and arduous process for the ancient manatee to evolve into the modern feminist. Now that you have learned the origin of the feminist, it is time to explore inside the mind of one of these creatures. We shall attempt to break down and understand their complex behavior. Part 2. Inside the mind of a feminist. Here we are going to observe a feminist in the wild. The creature is involved in a routine traffic stop by this police officer. Now we as normal human beings know to just safely comply with the law and get on with our day. However, we must remember that we are dealing with feminists here. The logical thinking part of their brain never fully develops. So therefore, they are not capable of being rational human beings. So let us now observe how this feminist reacts to the situation at hand.
What I'm going to ask you to do is the same thing.
I get out of the car?
Yes.
No, I'm not getting out of the car.
All
You
right.
can go get your superior.
Well, I am going to tow this car, and you cannot be in the vehicle while I'm towing this vehicle.
Well, if you go get your superior,
That's not
he'll
gonna happen right
clarify
now.
that he can be set free because he does not
That's
have
not
to have a
going to
license.
happen right now, young lady. What I need to do is get you out of the vehicle, and if you have identification, please hand the identification over to me.
No.
Identify yourself to me.
And I'm not going to step out of the vehicle.
All right, well, you know, you are impeding my investigation. You are delaying me, which is a penal code violation in the state of California.
That law only
140.
applies to U.S. citizens.
Well, where are you a citizen of?
I am not a U.S. citizen.
Well, see, that's
I
where
am
you're
a free
mistaken.
inhabitant. I am of
That's
the
where
earth. I do not belong to any corporation. I do not
That's-
belong to any country.
Yeah, but
We have consulted many scientists and researchers, including some of the greatest minds of all time. And not one of them could figure what this strange creature is talking about.
I am not a U.S. citizen.
well, see, that's
I
where
am
you're
a free
mistaken.
inhabitant. I am of
That's
the
where
earth. I do not belong to any corporation. I do
That's-
not belong to any country.
but-
Free inhabitant of the earth? Even the great Albert Einstein couldn't add this up.
Not free to leave.
Why?
As soon as I conclude the rest of my investigation, you will be free to leave. As far as I know, you have not done anything wrong at this point. But you are slowly reaching to
okay,
that point
you know what?
to 148 PC.
I'll get out of the vehicle for you.
So finally, after many minutes of pointless confrontation, the feminist finally gives in and agrees to get out of the vehicle. Now, here is where you see the true feminist behavior in effect. Once the creature exits the vehicle, she then proceeds to try to walk away from the officer, once again claiming that she is a free inhabitant and that he has no control over her.
All right, well, you're not free to leave. You're
no,
going to take the bag
no,
off.
no, I'm
You're going
not.
to take the bag off.
No, I'm not.
Then that's your...
Hey!
As you can see, the confrontation has turned physical. Let us see how this turns out.
You're raping me. This is rape. This is rape. This is rape.
You're a fucking idiot. This needs to stop. Now.
What you just witnessed is what scientists refer to within the scientific community as feminist logic failure theory, otherwise known as fuck. Basically, this theory can be summarized with this one simple diagram. You can see a healthy human brain on the left and you can see a feminist brain on the right. Unfortunately, feminists were not blessed with full-size brains like the rest of the human race. This deformity is what leads them to have subpar logic and critical thinking skills. Now, let's take what we learned with this theory and apply it to the current situation. As you may recall, as soon as the confrontation turned physical, the creature's first reaction was to scream, "Rape."
You're raping me! This is rape! This is rape! This is rape!
Now, us intelligent human beings recognize that this is indeed not rape, nor even sexual assault, as this weird creature tries to claim. But then again, we were all blessed with normal-sized brains, so it is easy for us to comprehend such a thing. The creature in the video, however, is not so fortunate. Let's now observe how this situation pans out.
Stop fighting.
Alright, I'm not fighting.
Center 2, 5, 6. I got a combative X-ray.
Here, I'm lifting my arm up. I'm lifting my arm up.
Leave your arm right
It
there.
hurt, okay? I told you what I was doing.
This is pain compliance, okay? It's not meant to be comfortable.
This is completely illegal.
Let go.
No! Take my bag off!
I can't.
You're not putting me in the car. You can wait till you get to Superior. You are not taking my bag off. You can handcuff me with my bag on.
You're right, I will.
Don't touch my bag! You touching my bag! You're gonna get in so much trouble, you son of a bitch!
Now here is where we observe some very unusual behavior. For some reason, the feminist is very protective of her bag. Scientists were very intrigued by this overprotective behavior. So they started brainstorming possible explanations. The first conclusion was that she must have been hiding something unpleasant in the bag. Scientists immediately thought of the disgusting menstrual food that these creatures are known to eat, such as pancakes, waffles, or even cupcakes. This was considered for a while, then disregarded for a different theory. Scientists then considered the possibility of something even more revolting than the period blood delicacies: vaginal yeast bread. After careful consideration, even this theory was also disregarded. Then, scientists suddenly had a breakthrough. They realized what they were dealing with. This is where everything comes together, as we learned in the previous episode of Nat Geo, when we took a look at the rare species known as Eugene. The golden rule is, when Eugene reaches into his backpack, you know it's time to run. Now, after a few modifications, scientists were able to apply this rule to this situation. Let us take a look at this diagram. You see on the left we have the male version of the golden rule. On the right, scientists have developed a similar theory for females. The female version of backpack is equal to the bag, and therefore we are dealing with a female version of a Eugene, the Eugenia. Let us now observe the end of the encounter.
This big camera ran.
You can go get your superior!
I will
Go get,
somebody-
and I'm
but not
waiting
right
right here. Go get your fucking superior! You son of a bitch! Give me my fucking... You fucking asshole!
You need to calm down.
You need to fucking learn your goddamn job because you don't know your fucking laws!
2, 5, 6.
Go get your superior and go
Calm
get your
down.
fucking laws!
Let's go.
No! You son of a fucking bitch! Fuck you! You stupid son of a bitch! You don't know what you're fucking doing! You're gonna get fucking in trouble!
Well, this concludes our feature presentation on feminists. Be sure to stay tuned for next time when we take a look at the phenomenon known as the female streamer.